Welcome to In It to Win It. This is Steve Barton, and thank you for tuning in. We are going over the BRICS and the new currency rumors, and that it's possibly backed, although we don't think redeemable, for gold. All right, a little macro view. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, BRICS, the BRICS countries, they make up 40% of the world population. They have a combined gross domestic product, GDP, of 23 trillion, and they are 26% of the global economy. They have a meeting coming up here in less than a week, August 22nd through 24th. Invitations were sent out to 67 leaders across the globe, and I've heard numbers between 25 and 41 countries have applied to be a part of the BRICS. Now, as a little example of why they're doing this and why anyone cares. Okay, so we'll give a trade example here. Let's say Brazil sells India 300 million in coffee, and India sells Brazil 250 million in rice. Okay, there's a $50 million difference there, and so they settle that in dollars. India simply sends Brazil 50 million. Now, this is great for Americans because it's creating a demand for dollars or euro dollars, which are simply dollars that are outside of the United States in transactions like this. This creates a demand for our bonds and our treasuries. We export our inflation, and we don't even have to do anything for it. We simply benefit because we're the world reserve currency. Now, introduce Russian sanctions. Our big thinkers decided to sanction Russia and kick them out of the SWIFT system, thereby forfeiting the 600 billion worth of euro dollars that they had. Russia had to do something for those dollars. They had to produce goods and services. They had to sell a lot of oil and a lot of gas to get those assets, and they've just gone up like a fart in the wind. So de-dollarization has been happening and will continue to happen regardless, but our big thinkers have simply poked the bear and sped it up, right? Okay, now let's use that same example before, but now with Russia. Russia sells India 300 million in oil, in crude, so that India can refine it into gasoline or whatever they want. And then India sells 250 million in rice to Russia. There's a $50 million difference there. Before the sanctions, India would have simply handed over the other 50 million in treasuries or bonds to Russia. But Russia can't settle that difference in dollars anymore. They're worthless to them. So instead, they take 50 million worth of Indian rupees. But they can only spend those rupees in India. They can't take those 50 million in rupees and buy Hondas from China. China doesn't want the rupees. So Russia has hit their max of goods and services that they want from India. So they stop trading with India because they can only pay them in rupees. This is the problem that other countries are looking at. And they see, just like we do, that if you tick off the policymakers of the United States, they could kick you out of the dollar system. When then they will be facing the same dilemma that Russia is, right? But if they have their own separate system, kind of like they've already done with the euro, right? Russia can use those 50 million worth of BRICS and buy stuff in other participating countries, right? So if they develop their own currency collectively outside of the dollar, maybe these 5 to 41 countries can trade with each other under the new system. It looks like the West, realizing their error, is trying to get President Putin arrested if he goes to this meeting in South Africa on the 22nd. So the BRICS have solved that. He's going to Zoom in. You're not the only one that uses Skype. All right, so let's look at gold holdings here. I got this from the World Gold Council. And basically, what we're looking at here is tons of gold per country. All right, so we can see the USA has 8,100 tons. Now, we're only 4.3% of the world population. These next 5 countries make up 40% of the world's population. But they only got we'll call it 5,500 ounces or 5,500 tons of gold, and we've got 8,100. All right? They don't have very much gold. Now, here's some honorable mentions that are trying to get into BRICS here. Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Argentina, Indonesia, Egypt. Collectively, those 5 have 662 tons of gold, but still pales in comparison to the USA. The biggest hitters outside of this would be Russia and China right here, but even them combined barely make up half of what the US has. So how do you back a new currency with very little gold. And who is going to hold it? Who's going to be the Fort Knox that's actually going to hold this gold? If they somehow pull this off, we don't believe that this will be anything that they will turn into a paper currency and hand out to their citizens and actually allow their citizens to redeem this for gold. That is, governments like to take, they don't like to give power back. They like to take power. Once they have it, they don't give it back. They try to take more. Okay, so that would be completely going against the philosophy of governments since the beginning of time. So we don't see that happening. We think this will simply be used to settle trade agreements between countries in the form of digits on a screen. So where do they store it? Who acts as the BRICS of these countries to store this? According to Rick, these countries trust each other less than they even trust us, the US. So this could be a nothing burger. But if they actually do it, I am having a really hard time envisioning a scenario where gold would go down in this. How could that make gold go down? I mean, if other countries are backing, air quotes, their currency in gold, would that not just simply be bullish simply because of sentiment? Not sure. Let us know what you think. Put it in the comments below. If you can come up with a bearish scenario, what do you think is going to happen from this meeting? Is it a nothing burger? Are they going to come up with something? We don't know. Look forward to hearing your comments. Hope you got something out of this. Hit the like and subscribe, and we will talk to you next time.